What's going on, y'all? Sean here, and I want to tell you something. If you are 40 and over, you need to be sure to start working on your ability to sit and to stand, in particular from a chair. Okay? Very trivial seeming, I know, probably sounds silly, but some of you, I'm sure, know what I'm talking about. Let me show you something. So, doubtless, some of you know of someone, or maybe you might be starting to experience some of this stuff yourself. Knowing of someone who has dealt with difficulty standing from a chair. So literally, a lot of times it looks kind of like something kind of like this. So the person is down in the chair, and before they get up, they have to do this number. Almost like revving the engine, kind of have to rock, and then finally be able to stand. Like I say, it's kind of like priming the pump, like revving the engine to get that momentum to get up. And why is that? It's because key strength is gone. Now, what strength specifically is gone? Is strength in the main muscle groups of the legs. The quadriceps, which are muscles that are on the front of the thigh, the hamstrings, maybe to a lesser degree, on the back side of the thigh, and then you have the glutes, which are actually pretty significant, when it comes to standing and to sitting, okay? And so why is it that strength is lost in the legs that makes it hard to sit or stand from a chair? The reason why is because, at least best to my studying, because we sit in chairs so much. Think about this. If I'm sitting down in a chair, I have effectively disengaged all muscle groups pretty much even in my torso. Well, I'll say maybe lesser in the torso, because the upper torso tends to be used with arms and stuff like that. But like core, largely deactivated. Hip flexors, quads, hams, glutes, all this stuff, deactivated, okay? These muscle groups are deactivated, and what happens is, because they're deactivated and we sit so long, then these muscle groups tend to weaken, they tend to atrophy, and then that becomes pronounced with age because of what's called sarcopenia, which is literally loss of muscle tissue with age, okay? Keep in mind, it's loss of muscle tissue with age, but it happens in particular with underuse. Now, if you're using your muscle, then it tends to stay, okay? So with the progress of time and sitting in chairs 8 hours a day, which we're not designed to do, those muscles become weaker, it becomes more pronounced with age, and as sarcopenia kind of runs its course, it gets very hard to stand from a chair. Okay, and so you have, like I said, this number here where you're having to prime the pump, and then it's also even difficult to sit down in a chair. So what happens, you maybe get here and then you have to drop, okay? So we need to know how to maintain the strength to sit and stand from a chair, okay? Sit and stand from a chair. So we're going to talk about both of those things. Now, before I get into that, let me show you something else. So watch this. Oh boy. So if you've ever looked on like some health documentaries that may profile people in countries that are developing countries, so to speak, you may see a lot of them, and not even just developing countries, even like in Japan and stuff like that. You'll see people sitting like this, literally sitting like this, where you're in the deepest squat possible. Now, I know you probably had imaginations of your kneecaps popping out and all this crinkling, and this is a little difficult for me because I don't really do this. But the thing about sitting like this is that, in contrast to sitting on a chair, muscle groups are not deactivated here. So even now, I feel a decent amount of work in in my quads, maybe a little bit in my calves. And so we're not deactivating muscle groups. We're having to do some level of balancing. You got some core, a little core activation in there. So this type of sitting that people do actually tends to be better because it doesn't deactivate. It's like an active form of resting, so to speak. And so a lot of times people who are probably sitting like this aren't necessarily having that loss of strength because, again, there's not muscle deactivation. I just wanted to mention that, you know, because it's in contrast to how we sit in the West. Okay, now let me get up. Okay, so here is how you are going to train your ability to sit and to stand from a chair. Now, the first thing, well, actually, so the first thing is not going to be an exercise at all. It's literally, you need to be moving. You need to move a lot. I'm not going to even make it real specific. You just need to be one who moves most of the day. Our lifestyles are too sedentary, and that's probably the main reason that we're so weak with time, because we don't do a lot. So you need to be walking. You need to be, you know, don't worry about trying to park close to this so you don't do as much walking. Stop outsourcing movement from your life and move and make your lifestyle an active lifestyle, because it's literally the sedentary stuff that is killing us, to be honest. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, say you have a chair like this, or any chair for that matter. What you want to do is practice sitting down slow. And why? So let me explain this. First of all, let me demonstrate. I'm sorry. So when I say sitting down slow, I mean literally sitting down, okay, like that. Okay? And literally also while you're doing that, notice your butt is coming back as you sit in the chair. Your butt is going back. That's going to make sure that it's not all the stress on the the quadriceps. It's going to be on those glutes, and to a lesser degree the hamstrings as well. So that is the eccentric move of a squat, and that is important in particular because we tend to lose that very significantly, you know, that eccentric strength. So practice sitting down in a slow manner, and even make it a complete move. Practice going up, going down slow, and up slow, okay? Start standing and come down slow. No hands is very important, and then come up. It's okay to have a lean forward, but try not to do momentum, okay? Try not to do momentum. So in other words, I'm saying don't just kind of like, don't yank yourself up. Don't do that, because then you're cheating. So come down slow and then come up slow, okay? All right, so that's the first exercise. Now the second thing is, note this, just like when you saw me in that very deep sitting squat, so to speak, you want to, if you really want to increase the difficulty of a squat, so to speak, a sitting, well, let me be careful the way I'm phrasing this, but if you want to increase the difficulty of this, what you also can do is sit on a lower step. So, say for example, dining room table, you have those high chairs. You can start out doing a high chair, okay? Then you may progress to like a standard size chair like this one, okay? Then, using my stairs again, you can progress to a lower stair. So I'm going to go to the second stair here, okay? Oops, I said that kind of hard that time. But yeah, so, you know, you practice getting up from a lower stair, then you may go to even lower stair. Now this is very low, okay? And then get up from there. And remember, stick your butt out so that you can kind of make sure you activate those glutes, okay? So just like that. So the lower you go, the more difficult it gets. But that's why you want to do progressive resistance. So you want to like progressively get down to there. Now, if you really want to make this a move, I would recommend, so for the first exercise with the chair, just sitting down slowly in the chair, you start with that. Like maybe you just do 10 repetitions a day. It doesn't have to be complicated, okay? Then you might progress. After you do that, then you go to a lower stair, 10 repetitions a day. You know, after you do that for, maybe you do this for a week or whatever level chair you start at, do it for a couple of weeks. Concentrated time. Then you go to a lower chair and do that for a couple of weeks. 10 reps a day in the same session. Then you go to a lower stair and you do that 10 reps a day. And you go to a lower stair, okay? Now, especially if you have knee issues, you probably want to get that kind of stuff checked out, because I don't really know what all kind of knee issues you may be dealing with. However, one thing is that squats actually, especially when done properly, are apparently good for the knees. But also, that's more reason to start slowly, okay? Start with a high chair and just get used to it. Let yourself get used to it to develop the strength and all that kind of stuff. A little tidbit that I'll kind of throw in here is the fact that when it comes to knee issues, apparently there's a variety of issues that can things that can cause knee issues. But one of the things I recently learned is that sometimes having knee issues is due to weak glutes, because the glutes kind of position your pelvis a certain way, and if your glutes are weak, then it's not offsetting some of the pulling and stuff on the different sides of the knee. And one day I'll make a video that's a little bit more detailed about that. But it's important to have strong glutes. So even with these exercises, like I say, make sure that you kind of poke your butt out, so to speak. You know, again, like this. So instead of just kind of coming down, because you don't want to come down too much where your knees going that way, just emphasize your butt going back, and then come up the same way, and that'll help to like incorporate glutes, so you can start to strengthen those glutes too, okay? Let me know how this video is. Share it with friends and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you subscribe and all of that. And remember, we're pursuing the goal of aging successfully. And to age successfully, you gotta be intentional. You really gotta work toward this stuff with a mind that's very geared toward that. So please remember that, y'all. All right, have a good one. As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my body weight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/SeanB2B Fitness today.